Hello and welcome to the Pandaverse. Today we're doing the C&E show. I've got Christine Gabriel here, and
Hi.
Christine Davis is working in the background. So today's topic is conspiracy theories, urban legends, and strange stories. We'll start off with Christine. She's got an urban legend page open on her computer there.
I do. Ooh. So, everybody, we have some urban legends that we're going to talk about here. So, the first one I want to talk about is they've got them listed by state. So, let's just go through a couple of them. The first one I came across is Colorado. So, Colorado has a road called Riverdale Road. Now, apparently, this road is the site of not one, but 8 creepy stories. The stretch of road is decidedly spooky. The creepiest story, though, is that one of the phantom jogger. One day there was a driver who hit a jogger, freaked out, and left him for dead. Now it's said that if you park at the site of the crash, you'll hear disembodied footsteps getting closer and closer to your car. So, would you guys go park your car on this road?
I wouldn't even go there. So
No.
Why not? I'm a risk taker. I'll do it.
Oh goodness, I would be terrified. I mean, 8 creepy stories. That one road has got a lot. He's a young priest and an old priest. So we've got Connecticut. They've got Crana is the Wicked Witch of Monroe. She gained a reputation as a witch in the 19th century when her husband died by mysteriously falling off a cliff. The locals reportedly believed that she had bewitched him, and people also believe that she would cast spells on people she didn't like. She lived till about 77, but right before she died, she asked to be carried down to the cemetery in her coffin by foot, not wagon. And after her death, the people of Monroe tried to wheel her coffin down the hill, but were unable. The coffin kept falling off, so they were forced to carry it. When the townspeople returned to her home, it was found to be engulfed in flames, which sealed her reputation as a witch. So you can actually go to her real grave site and visit her now. Well, that's kind of creepy.
skip down to the one from Ohio.
Okay.
That's probably the same website I looked at.
There's a lot. I mean, every state has got some really creepy stuff.
I live in Nevada, so of course we got Area 51. Everybody knows about that.
Oh, good old Area 51. I watched a really scary movie about Area 51. It was pretty terrifying. They went down into the deep levels, and there were like different alien life forms in like different rooms, and they can do different terrifying things. I don't think I'll be storming that place anytime soon. All right, so we are just about to Ohio. The Werewolf of Defiance is in Ohio. It says during the summer of 1972, the people of Defiance claimed they were being terrorized by a werewolf. The sightings always happened at night, generally by the train tracks. A couple of women said it would try to get into their house by railing doorknobs. The animal was said to be huge, hairy, and dressed in red. But after summer ended, the beast disappeared, never to be heard from again. Ooh.
Yeah, that was a simple case of me covering my tracks.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think you believe in werewolves and vampires?
I think that they're based off of werewolves are based off of people who have that excessive hair disease that grows all over their face.
Oh.
And then you have there's people who I've read who thought that taking or drinking or bathing in bloods of others, and someone help me out. There's a lady, she's in, I don't know if it was Transylvania, but they called her, she would kill people and young girls and take their blood. And I think those legends there from Eastern legends created these legends that have carried over into novels and mythology.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, every, urban legend generally has some truth somewhere. You know what I mean? Every story has some truth somewhere.
Even strange conspiracy theories, have
Yeah,
some foundation of
they
truth.
Yeah.
do. They do.
And that's what makes it interesting to read some of these things and do a little research on them, because you can probably find a nugget that you could use as a plot item for a book. If you're ever stuck with one of those periods where you can't come up with an idea, or for a novel or for a chapter in a novel or whatever, you could poke around, read some of these urban fantasy stories, these urban legend stories.
I just found that Melon Head in Ohio.
Yeah.
I could have probably lived my whole life without ever seeing
That one's pretty
I
creepy.
am so scared right now. Apparently, Melon Head, they could possibly be like little green men. In the 1970s, melon heads are said to be completely bald, with misshapen, bulbous heads, deformed arms and legs, teeth like daggers, and luminous red eyes. The appearance aside, the most terrifying thing that every melon head legend has in common is that these creatures were at one time human. Wow. They're in Michigan. They're a little bit on the border. It looks like it's pretty terrifying. I don't think I ever want to come across one.
I grew up in Ohio. I'd never heard of that. So
No, me neither. In Ohio we have the Ohio Grassman. Down in Salt Fork, there are people that go down there every year and they look for the Grassman, and the Grassman is basically the skunk ape, which is Bigfoot. They recently released a video on it's a paranormal show that I watch, and there was a man out in the woods during hunting season, and he could smell something that smelled, like dead animal, kind of like a skunk, because that's what they call it, a skunk ape. And he has it on video. You can see it kind of far off in the distance. I mean, that's one of those things that Bigfoot and the Ohio Grassman are very similar, but it always makes me wonder, why they avoid us or, why we don't have more proof of something like that. What do you guys think?
they avoid us because we can't even get along with each other. So, I mean,
It's a good reason.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I think if that is something that is true, I think they're an intelligent creature. I think that they know a human well enough to know if they were ever caught, that we would probably do so much scientific testing on them. They would, you know what I mean? They would be in a cage for the rest of their life.
yeah,
Maybe poked
it's
in.
kind of like the stories of alien abductions.
Yeah.
Speaking along those same lines, you have a conspiracy theory I heard about yesterday, that the Kennedy assassination was conducted by the CIA because Kennedy was going to expose that aliens are among us.
What?
Yeah,
Well, that's a new one.
I'd never heard that one before. That one kind of floored me. I mean,
What?
I've heard
I've
all
even been
kinds.
to the book conservatory where you can stand at the window where Oswald shot out the window and killed President Kennedy. And there was not one book there that said anything about CIA and aliens.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, they're gonna.
So well.
Yeah, they're
They're
gonna
gonna hide it.
they're gonna keep it quiet.
There's conspiracy theory of the Book of Secrets that gets passed down to the president. Every president gets the Book of Secrets, and every secret that's ever been in history, from aliens to, everything is in this book. So could you imagine the things that are hiding in there? Like, if I could get my hands on that, well,
Yeah.
maybe not.
No, I'd like to get my hands on that.
Yeah, it's probably got some stuff in there that, yeah, you can read this, but we're gonna have to kill you afterwards.
Yeah.
You've learned too many secrets.
Yeah. So let's see here. I've got a whole list of good things to talk about. What about the moon landing?
Yeah, that's a conspiracy theory that it was all staged in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of that? There's some. I'm kind of on the fence because there's some
Yeah,
really
well,
good evidence.
most of the people who promulgate that one are people that believe the Earth is flat. So
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
those
Not
two go
flat?
hand in hand.
There's still a group about not people who believe the world is flat. I don't remember the name of the group, but it really people still do.
I think most people would call them flat earthers.
Yeah.
That's it, right?
I once worked with this guy who, because I kind of made, like, I believe the Earth's round, and we were having a conversation, and I walked away for like 5 minutes, and he got a hold of my phone, and he subscribed me to every Flat Earth Facebook page, and he made it so that the first thing that I saw when I opened my phone and opened Facebook was these pages. So that's all I saw because I'm not unsubscribe was all these flat earth posts, and I'm just sit there and be like, why?
There's all kinds of conspiracy theories too that center around, why we were going to the moon in the first place, and we were going up there because there's alien artifacts, and we wanted to research that, or we wanted to recover those. There's also some theories that we've had a permanent presence on the moon since before the official lunar landing. So, I kind of doubt all that. I mean, that ties into reverse engineering the alien crash spacecraft, and Werner von Braun, and the Germans had all this technology that they got from the aliens. So I mean, there's all kinds of weird theories around that.
I read a really interesting article the other day, and I could totally believe this one, you guys. So they were drilling a hole. These scientists were drilling a hole in Antarctica, and it took a really long time, like years, like 30 years. It was really deep hole, and they were able to break through all the way to the bottom, and they found the water, and there was 10 times more oxygen there than there's a whole different place, because it's been under the ice for so long. And so while they were down in this hole exploring, they came across this squid-like animal, and they call it organism 46B. And this thing is terrifying. It killed 4 of their crew members, but it did it. It's so, the animal or the creature is so smart. It's extremely intelligent that it could, where a squid will spit its ink, like an octopus, it would also spit out a paralyzing agent. And it was almost like a hypnotizing you. So you would fall under this spell, and it took and it ripped one guy's head off and ate him. And they say that they were able to finally catch this organism, and that they're going to weaponize him. But of course, this is one of those things that is not true, because of the fact they're going to weaponize this creature because it's so intelligent. It was terrifying. It's the things this thing can do. An octopus is an extremely smart creature, and this thing rivals that, and it's a significant amount bigger.
Well, there's also a thing about Antarctica actually being inhabited. There's supposed to be an underground network of tunnels and cities, and most people probably think Antarctica is just this big chunk of ice floating around in the water. There's actually there's a reason why they call it a continent, because there's mountains and valleys and everything, and they're covered over in ice.
Right.
And at one time, all that was closer to the rest of the continents, and it was actually subtropical at one time, or tropical.
Makes you wonder,
Yeah.
It'd be a great place to hide things. I mean, how many people really travel to the Antarctic?
There's a theory that there's a hollow Earth, and you could actually fly all the way through the Earth from one pole to the other. And it's just that the ice caps conceal that. There's a theory about that too.
Oh, wow.
There's a companion theory that the moon's hollow, the moon is actually like a giant spaceship that was set into orbit to monitor the Earth, and all the debris on it is like cover, or it's things that are left over from being impacted by meteorites over the centuries. And there's some credibility to lent to this because the first things that impacted into the moon caused it to ring like it was hollow. So yeah, I mean, it's probably just jumping to conclusions and a weird explanation for something that they didn't understand at the time. That one's kind of interesting.
There's a child. He's a Russian boy, claimed to have lived on Mars in his past life. They asked him some significant questions, and he knew the answer to every single one. Like they asked, he told them that on Mars they had been a species that would stop aging at a very young age. Basically, it was I think in the 20s, and then they were very intelligent, but they destroyed themselves. They destroyed their entire colony, and they live actually inside the actual planet of Mars. And the story of this little boy is really truly amazing because they would ask him some very tough questions, and this young boy would just rattle off these answers, and they were such intelligent answers. And it really makes you wonder, like, could it have been true? Like, could there, Mars, we see the different shapes, from the satellites, we see different things. But we don't see anything on the actual planet. But what if they're living in the planet? We wouldn't know that yet.
Yeah. Well, they see with the satellites, they see, objects on the surface that don't look like, rocks, rock formations. Like there's one that sort of looks like a pyramid and one that sort of looks like a face, right?
Realistically, if you had to think of if a planet destroyed itself, I feel like that's what Mars would look like, just the dust, the rubble, just the destruction. I feel like that would be probably correct.
Did the boy explain how he got from Mars to Earth?
He did. It was something about there was a capsule, and there were a couple of survivors, and they took the capsule to Earth. Which, I mean, if you kind of think about it, on Earth, where did we come from? We could not have survived as a baby, right? I mean, we could not literally have survived as a newborn baby here without help or something. So, I don't know. It's kind of like which came first, the chicken or the egg?
long time discussion there.
There's a theory that Mars was attacked by another civilization, because there's like deep gouges on the planet that look like they were caused by weapon discharges. So they think that the atmosphere got ripped away, and
right,
a lot of other things happened to it. There's some problems with Mars too, because the gravity's lower there. The mass is smaller than the Earth, so it didn't hold its atmosphere. It doesn't have a magnetic field like the Earth does, a strong magnetic field. So the solar winds blew the atmosphere away. Now they're saying there may be life on Venus.
I see.
Up in the clouds.
Well,
a different type of life.
This is 2020. I think we should leave it alone. We should not explore that.
Yeah, that.
Our luck, we would find
anything that
something.
Anything that can survive on Venus is probably something we need to leave alone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it can inhale the gaseous clouds and be okay, I don't think I want to mess with it.
And then it makes you wonder, like, if there's life out there, why do they leave us alone? Like, or are they here already?
That we don't even get along with each other, so they're going to leave.
They just kind of watch like TV. We were watching something the other night, and I brought up the topic of aliens, and I was like, they're probably watching us like on their space TV going, stupid earthquakes. Because some of the things that, we watch the show, it's called Ridiculousness. And it's a bunch of videos of people doing ridiculous things. And I'm just like, man, if they see us, if they come to Earth and that's like the first thing they watch, they're gonna leave. They're like, we don't need this.
They pick up a rerun of Duck Dynasty or something on them.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, yeah. I mean, just imagine like some really intelligent species coming down and just the first thing they see is like jackass. And they see us like doing dumb things to ourselves. I want to make a very good first impression.
What was that show that had Paris Hilton and?
Oh yeah, and Nicole Richie. Yeah, I forget, what was that called? The Simple Life.
The Simple Life or something.
Yeah, I never watched it, but I heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's and especially now, I feel like if aliens came down to Earth, they would see how, right now the Earth is in a bad place, so they would probably leave because, it's pretty dangerous out there right now. There's a lot going on.
Maybe the aliens are responsible for seeding the viruses here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Elgon, you might have started a new conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Now he's done it.
And the Chinese are in league with them, so
I believe that.
I'd heard or I was I have story ideas every once in a while. And when COVID came around, I was like, well, what if COVID, every so many years we have a significant virus that comes out of nowhere, right? So what if it's like an upgrade? It's a human upgrade. And the reason that some people don't take it so well is because they're not compatible with the upgrade. We're moving to that next stage of life. So it's like an alien upgrade. We got to be upgraded.
That TV show, Ancient Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
They were talking about how, I think they said something like less than 20% of the population, or maybe it's even less than that, is Rh negative.
I am Rh negative.
Their blood type.
I have blue blood.
And, I wasn't heavily into studying stuff like that in the past, but I didn't know what the difference was between positive and negative. But your blood cells are actually coated with an antibody on the Rh positive, and because your blood cells are coated that way, they resist certain things more than the negative ones do. According to what they were saying, the people that tend to be abducted by aliens are Rh negative.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well, now you're in good. Christine's just gonna be waiting there.
But,
come on, get me.
I'm missing y'all. This is why.
Here's the other side of it. They think that between 20 and 30% of the population has actually had an alien encounter that they may or may not be aware of. And all those people, they believe that those people are actually hybrids.
I've heard that.
And the hybrids have Rh positive. So whatever the aliens do to them, they take Rh negative and they make them into Rh positive. So they've manipulated the human genome to the point where mankind is mostly Rh positive now. So they're more susceptible to the aliens.
Wow. When I was pregnant, 2 of my children had different blood types than I did. And because I'm O negative, Rh negative,
yeah, you have to
I had to have a RhoGAM shot before, at like 6 months, I think, when I was 6 months pregnant, and then once again, like right after I delivered, because my body basically thinks that it is an outside organism, and it'll try to attack it.
Right.
And so, and unfortunately, I have suffered from miscarriages, and they think that that's the reason why, is because my body is physically attacking this organism because it's a foreign organism to my body. So
yeah,
I'm just O negative. Does that mean I'm okay?
You
No.
might. Do you know if you're Rh negative?
If you're O negative, you have Rh negative. So
Yeah, they say that people with Rh negative blood, they all have similarities. They're very in tune with the earth. They wonder a lot about why they're here. They don't feel at home here. They feel like they should be somewhere else, like in the universe. A lot of Rh negative people are psychic. They have psychic abilities. They have sixth sense. They're mediums. They have a higher in tune with nature and things like that. There's a lot of different things that go hand in hand with Rh negative people, and it's really interesting because there's a theory of the alien genome, and then there's also the theory of angels, the Nephilim, that it's Nephilim blood. That's a really cool conspiracy. I've read a lot of on that, and it's really interesting because that in COVID, people who are O negative tend to do better with COVID than other people with different blood types. Like blood types played a significant part with that, and I thought that was really interesting too.
And my father, he's 78 now, and he's AB positive, negative. I can't remember, but he had COVID at his age, and he got over it. He's fine.
Good. Oh, yay! That's great.
AB blood's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to always get asked by the blood banks. He was also a nurse, but he'd always get asked by blood banks if he could please come down and donate his blood. And that's the only person I've ever known who's asked that.
Yeah, I think Rh negative, AB Rh negative is a little bit more rare than the AB positive, but yeah, both of those are rare. I have very common blood. Mine's O positive, so my ex-wife was A positive, so we have my son and one of my daughters is O positive, and the other one's A positive. So I mean, it figures out. So probably my ex-wife had one of her parents were O positive. So
Well, at least you're all very positive people.
yeah, I'm not too positive about
that. One of my favorite urban legends is, have you guys heard of the Xylitol Path?
No.
So I've followed this for numerous years because it really makes me wonder if perhaps like aliens or something to that effect is real. So it happened in Russia. There were 9 Russian hikers. They were hiking in the Ural Mountains between February 1st and 2nd in 1959. They established a camp on the slopes of the Kolat Cycle, an area now named in honor of the group's leader. And during the night, something caused them to tear their way out of their tents and flee the campsite while inadequately dressed for the heavy snowfall and sub-zero temperatures. So, one would think maybe it was an avalanche of some kind, but what really gets you is after the group's bodies were discovered, Soviet authorities determined that 6 had died from hypothermia, while the other 3 showed signs of physical trauma. 1 victim had a fractured skull, 2 others had major chest fractures, 1 body was missing both of its eyes, and it was missing its tongue. The investigation concluded that a compelling natural force had caused the death, because when they found them, there were no physical outside problems with these bodies. Everything was on the inside. So they don't know if it was an infrasound and they don't know what it was, and they were barefoot when they ran. So it's really interesting. I don't what could have possibly happened. What could have taken a person's both of their eyes and their tongue? And they were found a significant away from the camp. The 3 that had the huge problems with their bodies. It really makes you wonder what happened, and nobody will ever know. Nobody will ever know.
I doubt anyone had time to take notes on it.
Yeah. You're too busy running.
I have one urban legend that's from the Twin Lakes in Shawnee, Oklahoma. That's where I am, and the Twin Lakes are down the road that way. But it said that a lady who was accused of being a witch was hung from a tree there. And I have seen the tree, and they say that the rope that they hung her with is still there, although I find that a little difficult. And then they said years later, bodies of teenage girls were said to be discovered there inside bad. We don't know where they came from, but they did find razor blades somehow that killed them. Used to slit their throats, that was.
Wow.
So,
That's creepy.
don't want to go swimming in the Twin Lakes. That's all.
Yeah, we have around where I live, Vermillion, we have a road called Poor Orphanage Road. It automatically sounds scary, right? Poor Orphanage. And what it is there was a house where the story was there was an orphanage with children, and it burned down, and you know how that, well, that's not the truth. What happened was there was a house there, and it was a family, and that burnt down, and it killed some of the family members. And they would say that you could go down there at night, which I've been down there several times, and you would see like scary things. One night I went down there with some friends, and there was a giant doll hanging from a tree. It looked like a child. It was probably one of, and it's at night, so it was terrifying. We didn't stay very long, and so I went down there during the day, and you can see like the foundation of the house where it was, and it's all overgrown. It's pretty creepy. They have it all blocked off now, like you can't go down there anymore. But that's probably one of the scariest places, you know, to go down and visit. And the Mansfield Reformatory is another place. They filmed Shawshank Redemption there. It's one of the most haunted prisons in the United States. I've been there several times, and that place is scary. I went down to the lower levels of the prison, and it's just, you just get that feeling of dread as soon as you walk down there. It's just a feeling of just, solitary confinement. So you see the little cells with the doors with the little window where they slam it shut, and it truly is just a feeling of dread. You feel like people are watching you and you don't see anybody. That's probably one of the most terrifying places, but most interesting places I think that I've been to date.
I went to the Territorial State Prison in Laramie, Wyoming. It's where I lived for a while, so that's where I graduated from the University of Wyoming. But it was the only prison that held Butch Cassidy, and you can see his cell, and you can also see where they had installed the gas chamber and all, and it's supposed to be haunted, but I always visited during the day and never got to see it.
Yeah. Nighttime stuff like that scares me. I want to go to Waverly. It was like an asylum kind of place, and that's like one of the most haunted places also. That's on my bucket list of places to go. Salem is on my bucket list of places to go. I have a great aunt that was supposedly in the witch trials. So they say that magic runs deep in my family's veins. So that's like all my creative ideas for these books. What about like the Reptilian Elite? With the presidential campaign coming close, they say that some of these people in politics are some of the Reptilian Elite.
I would not doubt that.
Me neither.
You mean they're actually reptilians under their skin?
Yeah. It's like an ancient alien race. It's a pretty terrifying race. They are carnivorous, and they're mean. I don't know how to explain them. They're exactly what I feel like you would think they would be. So.
There's a legend that I think it's in Utah. There's an entrance to a subterranean world, and those are reptiles.
I've heard that the Greys work with the United States government. They actually work. They physically work with them, and they are kept underground near Area 51 because I guess there's like tunnels.
There's supposed to be a tunnel complex and the whole thing there. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that too.
I saw an episode of Doctor Who that had the reptilians that lived underground that were supposed to be here. I guess they based it off of that. I didn't know there was urban legend about
Oh,
it.
there's all kinds of
Oh,
kinds of stories.
Yeah, the reptilians, the greys. There's like there's certain species of aliens that go back in history a significant amount of time. And it does make you really wonder because, you know, every story has some truth to it. So,
Oh, what was that movie that had Mel Gibson in it? It might have been called Conspiracy Theory, but it had the guy that played Jean-Luc Picard in it too. He was the bad guy. He was Mel Gibson's character was like a cab driver, and he believed in all kinds of conspiracy theories. And you know, he was paranoid that somebody was out to get him, of course. And the problem was somebody was out to get him, and the conspiracy theories he believed in were actually true. So,
you know, there's so many things out there. I feel like why couldn't some of them be true? I'm realistically knowing how humans react to certain things. They keep certain things from us because they know how we would react to them. You know, we don't do well with things like that. I think it was really interesting how, you know, in 2020 they started releasing all the UFO files. You know, they've had these for years and years, but now they've declassified all, you know, the spacecraft, you know, photos and videos, and you know, not one single person batted an eye.
they've been setting us up for it for years.
They have.
I mean,
Yeah, all the movies.
And that's another conspiracy theory that they're gradually, you know, drip, leaking it out to us to
make us okay with it.
Yeah, to make us okay with it.
Well, they desensitize us to it because, you know, all the movies, you've got Star Wars and you've got
and Galaxy.
They're just desensitizing us. So when it really happens, we're like, oh, okay. That really was true.
One of these days, they're just going to be like, so you know, your neighbor could be an alien. I mean, I don't know if they go that far because knowing how we would react to that, we would probably, half of the United States would probably go after their neighbor.
It would be like
alien. I knew Ed was an alien.
It'd be like the Coneheads on Saturday Night Live.
I loved that movie. Loved Coneheads. You know, and it could be like one of those things like they just want to be left alone. They just want to be, you know what I mean? Maybe they walk amongst us and they just want to live here in peace. Maybe they got stuck here, you know, and they can't go home. I don't know. We're a scary species, humans. We're scary.
Well, they're walking among us and, you know, leaking their technology into ours so that we can create all these things that will help them get back home.
You know, I did read an article about similar to that. It was how every so many years, the reason we have upgraded technology is because the aliens are giving it to us. They feed us information and they don't want to give it to us all at once because they, you know, as humans, we monetized it. So, you know, the like TVs, smart TVs, that's what they use as an example, was, you know, you had your first TV and then so many years later you had a new TV and so forth and so forth and so forth until one day, you know, we have these TVs that can do anything you want them to do. And it's like, you know, like your smartphone capabilities, 5G towers, you know, you got all this really just super smart technology, and they say that they're feeding it to us every so often, and they're giving it to us slowly so they can monetize it.
Well, you do know we're looking more and more like Star Trek from the 60s. We've got communicators. We've got the computer that talks back to us. You know, so they were always showing us that stuff back in the 60s.
Yeah, I watched a documentary last night on Netflix, and it scared the crap out of me. It's about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. It's about all the big social media companies, and it talks about how we've become so addicted to these devices and these platforms that we're like, it's basically AI, and AI is using us to create a super brain. And and I sat there and I thought about it. I looked at my phone to see, if maybe I'm guilty of that. I picked up my phone 104 times yesterday. I was on my phone for an hour and 31 minutes on Facebook yesterday. I could not believe it. I'm truly addicted to these platforms. And, here we are making a video for one of the platforms they were talking about, YouTube. And I was just like, wow. And it was, talking just about how artificial intelligence basically has already taken over. And we're just kind of playing along with it. And we don't even realize that we're in it. We don't even think there's a problem. It was a really interesting documentary, but it's really eye-opening and scary.
And the government knows exactly where you are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Any time of the day.
Yep.
I mean, on the one hand, I don't really care that they know where I'm at.
Me neither.
Okay. But on the other hand, why do they need to know? Why is it every application needs to have the location service turned on your phone? Why is that? I mean, sometimes it makes sense because it's like, an app for ordering stuff, to be delivered. Well, that kind of makes sense. Or, like Uber or whatever, to call up an Uber driver. That kind of makes sense. But some of these things, it's like a stretch. Why would it need to know? I mean, if I'm playing a game, why does it need to know where I'm at?
Right. Right.
Okay.
And then it was also saying how, Facebook and all that, they know us better than we know us.
Oh yeah. They
tell you
by what we post and everything else, and they sell that information. And if you were talking about something in a chat with somebody, okay, and all of a sudden you start getting advertisements that are skewed toward what you were talking about. So how's that possible if they weren't monitoring your communication?
Right. One time I swear, I was just thinking of something, and then an ad popped up like 10 minutes later, and I was like, nope, I'm done with this. It's over. I'm breaking up with Facebook.
If you have the Amazon app plugged in, or the extension plugged into your browser on Google, it will actually notify you that you have a message, and you go to it, you click on it, and it shows you the last few things that you searched for, and it'll alert you when the price on something's dropped. I mean, there's some useful benefits there if you're thinking about buying something. Hey, the price is lower now. But they also give you a bunch of other stuff that, is related to it.
Right.
I mean, they're trying to make business. I get that. But, it's getting kind of creepy what all they know about you from your previous buying habits.
Exactly. Yeah. And
you have to have a room where when you need to really go talk about something with someone, you leave your phones out in the other room, and there's no TV or any other device, and you shut the door and you talk quietly.
I have a character in one of my books that he buys a white noise generator to throw up white noise in the background so that he can talk to other people without it being monitored, because it's really hard to pull out a human voice from a certain level of white noise, from a distance with the parabolic microphones that the spies used to use. I mean, it's set back a little ways, but nowadays they wouldn't even need to do that. They can turn on the microphone that you carry around with you all the time in your pocket.
Yeah, it said that they know what you're doing, that no matter what you think, they are analyzing, recording every single thing you say.
Who's that guy that, I forget his name, but he stole a bunch of government secrets. He's living in Russia now.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He was saying, NSA was building this huge facility to store all the information. This is back, 7, 8 years ago. So I'm sure it's up and running by now.
Yeah, I'm sure too.
Supposedly, they backed off and they weren't going to do that. If they had elaborate plans to do this, they had a reason for doing it, and they've done it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's just so much, out there. It's just, and that's how conspiracy theories are formed, is when, we start to question, things that just don't make sense, and they make us wonder, and then, or we see something.
especially this year, things don't make sense.
2020 has been, and what if 2020 is a precursor? Everybody's like, oh, we only have so many more months. Yeah, well, what happens at 2021? Is this just a precursor to what's coming? I mean, let's climate change. Look at the wildfires. Do you think things are going to start getting better after December 31st?
Oh, everybody's expecting, after the election, things will calm down. And then some people are saying, no, it's just going to get worse after the election. And I hope that, whoever wins the election, I hope things calm down. Okay. I really do. I mean, the country needs it.
So I think that let's throw this out to our viewers today and tell us your favorite conspiracy theory and why you love it so much. And tell us, what, if you think it's true, and the facts that are behind it. Let us know. Put it in our comments, send us a message, and we'll read it on our next video.
Yeah, urban legends too, though. I'd like to hear a whole bunch of those.
Yeah.
Oh, there's tons of urban legends.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
There's a bunch of them in Florida. I don't know. Don't even get started with that. We could ask Ward to send us all those.
Right.
Thanks for showing up, and it was a interesting discussion as usual.
I liked it. Had fun.
All right, bye-bye.